Andreas, in your book on cancer not being a disease, being a survival mechanism, you say there are three main causes to cancer. Could you elaborate on that, please?
Yes, typically it is congestion. It's always involved, congestion of things, waste products that the body is supposed to eliminate.
Waste products.
Yes, and for example, if you ate something like chicken or meat, there's a new study that came out, and I wrote an article in Natural News. There's a study that came out of the National Institute of Cancer, and they tested 550,000 people, and they found that eating meat increases the chance or the risk of dying by 20%. And that is the risk of dying from all kinds of illnesses, every single one. Like they counted cancer, heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, all kinds of causes of death that are triggered by the eating of meat. And so eating meat, when you do that, you can only digest a fraction of it because we don't have the concentration of hydrochloric acid that a carnivorous animal like a cat has. So if you eat the chicken, let's say, you can only digest up to 20% of it. The rest of it, the 80%, will have to be decomposed. And you need bacteria to do the job of decomposing that. And that happens in the intestines, particularly the large intestine. And so when you have these bacteria decomposing those foods, you produce poisons like cadaverins, putrescines, nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are some of the strongest carcinogens you can come across. And these are poisons that will be absorbed into the cisterna chili vessel, the main lymph drainage center in the body, right around the belly button area. And that is the lymph vessel that drains the metabolic waste products and the turned over cells, like 30 billion cells per day, from your legs all the way up, the reproductive organs, the uterus, in the woman, the ovaries, and in a man, the testicles, the prostate gland, and then the intestines, large intestine, small intestine, the stomach, the pancreas, the spleen, the liver, and everything from the rib cage down basically gets drained by that cisterna chili vessel. Now that vessel has a duct that moves all the way up to the throat, and that's where it bends to the left and it joins the bloodstream at the heart. Now that is the major lymph drainage duct that has ducts moving into the thoracic duct themselves, and they drain, for example, the breasts. So if you have a lymph congestion building up because there are too many toxins from that undigested meat are clogging up the lymph system, which is severely congesting it, then the lymph drainage from the breasts can no longer take place properly, and then you have a denser breast. So that means more metabolic waste products and dead cells accumulating in the breast tissue. That makes it more dense, and then eventually the suffocation occurs that then leads to the mutation of the DNA, and that will eventually lead to the cancer.
So congestion is
congestion. Most important, the second, if I mention two more, it would be vitamin D. As soon as vitamin D is low, because vitamin D controls 2,500 genes in the body.
Wow.
It's a most influential hormone. It's absolutely powerful. It is also responsible for keeping the immune system healthy and strong. You can't have a healthy immune system with low levels of vitamin D. It's impossible.
All right.
So that makes you susceptible to cancer. As I mentioned, 77% of all cancers can be avoided simply by restoring vitamin D to its normal level. Then you have lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep. And there's a particular type of the night which allows you to produce melatonin. And there's a research study that's done, it's actually an ongoing study, it's called the NURSES study. And they looked closely at the connection between melatonin, which is a powerful hormone produced in the pineal gland, and that is produced only in response to darkness. When your eyes are shut, when you don't see light, when no light is shining on your skin. Then you make melatonin, and it typically begins being secreted at around 9:30 in the evening, and it peaks at around midnight, 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Now, when you have low levels of melatonin, your risk of cancer goes up because melatonin controls a gene that in itself is responsible for the life cycles of cells. That means if your cell is supposed to, a breast cell is supposed to live for 6 weeks and then die and get replaced with a new one, the cell will live longer if your melatonin is low. Your cell will live 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 20 weeks. By that time, it is a cancer cell.
Oh.
Because cancer cells have a different dividing mechanism. So old cells are cancer cells. So the longer they live, the more damaging it. So there's a gene that makes sure that they die on time. It's a death gene, and it allows the person to live. If you don't have that, or it's not active, then the person can develop cancer cells. And they found that in a study that nurses have the highest risk of breast cancer or other cancers because they have an irregular sleeping habit. Their melatonin levels are typically very low. And blind people, in contrast, they have the lowest risk of cancer because they are in darkness all the time, and they produce the most melatonin. However, they have low levels of serotonin, which is a day hormone that is that's secreted in response to daylight or sunlight, and they are depressed more than people who have enough sun exposure.
Okay, so it's congestion, lack of vitamin D, and lack of sleep, which promotes lack of melatonin.
Yes. Dietary factor play a huge role too.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.